My name is Peter Lengkeek. I come from the Birds, the Renvilles, and the St. Johns is my mother's side. I'm an enrolled member of the Crow Creek Sioux tribe here, and spent most of my life here on the reservation. We're the Hunkpati Dakota, which is part of the Medewa band of what's called today the Minnesota Sioux. That's who we come from. All of us here, we descend from them 38 that were hanged. And take great pride in who we are as a people. You know, we were almost annihilated. Our numbers were brought down so far, it's a wonder that we're even here today. We've been known for a long time as a forgotten people. Everybody thinks we're Lakota here. Whenever they refer to Lakota Indians, we're part of that. We're actually just the most western band of Dakota. There are more Dakota that settled up in Standing Rock and Eagle Butte, which is north of here. But this was the main place where Dakota are, and we've been known for years as a forgotten people. But because of people like Lyle here in the Diversity Foundation and the Crow Creek Long Riders and other entities that are not from here, you know, where people are starting to find out who we are, where we come from, and what we've been through. Like I said, it's a miracle that we're even here. Myself, my wife, my children, all the other people that are here. It's and that's how all this came about. This children's powwow, the honoring of the children, and you know, everything we did here this weekend. It's beautiful. I have no other words for it. You know, these guys, they remembered we were here. That was deeply moving to me. I remember my grandmother always telling us that nobody knows we're here. Nobody knows about us. And it's I have no words for it, for what these guys do. I just can't do enough for them, for remembering us here. This is one of the spots where our people were let off the boats at. There's 3 spots here down this river where our people were let off at, and it just depended on the sandbars in the river and how high the river was at that time is where they dropped us off at. They were told to drop us off in the most inhospitable place they could find, and this was it. At that time there was nothing here. Everything, it was in the about the 7th, 8th year of a severe drought, and they said that everything was dead here. Even the vultures were dying. And that winter to follow that, after our arrival here, was one of the hardest in South Dakota's history. All of that coupled with the starvation, the brutality at the soldiers, the exposure, it's a wonder we're even here. When our people first got here, I read a lot of journals of the soldiers that were here, the missionaries that come to save us, and you know, all these people that accompanied our people, and they all kept journals and stuff. And they all talk about when our people first came here. They said that almost every day they buried about 20 kids that starved to death right here in this area. And they're buried in these hills back here behind us, these bluffs overlooking the river. The children back then suffered the most. I couldn't imagine it. Our people weren't allowed to leave to hunt and gather what we needed for our family. The army kept saying, you can't leave, you can't leave. You have to stay here, just wait. A boat full of fresh meat is coming. I'll tell you a story. When months after our people were here and we weren't allowed to leave to hunt and gather, and our people were dying left and right every day, they were starving to death. My grandma even said that they ate the bark off the trees. They would go down to the river and they would gather mice beans, they call them, baby mice. They'd find them nests and they'd throw them in the soup. And they always put a rock in the soup. The boiling water would boil the minerals and stuff out of the rock, and that was sustenance. That was what kept a lot of old people alive. But this man, he was one of the leaders of this tribe. And he kept asking to go hunt, go hunt. They could smell the buffalo up there when the wind was blowing right. The buffalo were north of us about 30, 40 miles. And our people could smell that. So they kept asking to go, and they said, no, there's a boat coming with fresh meat, supplies, everything you need on it. Well, months of this went by and nothing ever came. So this head man of the tribe, he took 3 warriors and they snuck out of camp and they tried to catch the buffalo on foot. They left with nothing, no guns, no nothing. And they were going to try and bring a buffalo back. The buffalo had already started moving north by then, and they couldn't catch up, so they turned. They could have stayed out there. They could have left. They could have left all this behind, this torture, this starvation. But that wasn't our way. They came back, and on their way back, somehow they captured or killed 4 deer, and they drug them back down here and snuck back in through the soldiers. Come down to the river here, and they started butchering up the deer. And as you can probably figure, it caused like a feeding frenzy. Everybody, fresh meat. Everybody just went down to the river where they were butchering these deer up, and them 4 warriors, they didn't take anything off them deer. They didn't eat that whole time. They left it for the people, and they went up the river by themselves. And the army saw what was there. There was a commotion down here, so they come down, see what was going on. They saw these 4 deer laying there, and they asked who did it. And of course nobody said anything, so first thing they did was they went up and they shot a grandmother in the face. And 4 warriors that brought them deer and heard them shots, they come running back and said, we were the ones that brought the deer. So the soldiers rounded them up and took them, and they imprisoned them in the prison. And but 2 days later, a boat did come up the river from the government. But it wasn't loaded with meat. It was loaded with new rifles and ammunition, Gatling guns, cannons, all this stuff. They took them 4 warriors, they tied them up out in the field there, and the whole army sighted in their new rifles on them 4 warriors. They said when it was over, it was just a pile of red stuff over there below the post. Numerous stories like that. They finally released us from the prison. We were able to go. A lot of our people left, went down to Santee where some of our other people were. But a lot of them stayed here. The women, they married into the people that were here already, so they stayed. A lot of people stayed here. And they always told stories of the soldiers riding into camp and just burning everything, just for the heck of it, We'd just get set up, get some teepees, get some, some meat hanging on the racks, and here come the soldiers. They pile everything up and burn it. we'd have to start over again. My grandmother talked about a lot of these things, and a lot of them stories come from my great grandfather, Joe St. John. He was 8 years old when they hung him 38, and he was standing in the front there. And just before they were hanged, they asked a medicine man to sing a song. So he sung this song for them. And he turned to my grandfather and he said, "Don't let anybody forget this." So his whole life, till he died, every day he got up and he sang that song to somebody. Even if there was nobody around, he'd go out and he'd sing it to the horses. And he would tell this story about what happened to our people. Every day he did that. The song that was sung was passed down from generation to generation in my family, and now my brother is a keeper of this song and that drum from that day. And he comes down here and he sings it for us. When we do things like this for the kids, for our people, he'll come and he'll bring that drum and he'll bring that song and he'll sing it for us. That song was from that day them 38 were hanged. It's up to us that are here now to never forget that, to always tell that story. Never let our people forget what happened to us, what we've been through, where we come from. And that's what all this is about. It's beautiful, the celebration we have here, but at the same hand, it's very sad. Everything we do down here, is to honor the kids, the children, to let them know what a vital part of our communities, our societies, our way of life, what a vital part they are. Because nowadays, it's the children that suffer the most again. They're at the bottom of the list. It was never like that. Everything rode on the children. A long time ago, every decision that was made for the camp was made with the children in mind. To our people, we don't believe we inherit the earth. We believe we borrow it from our grandchildren. That's how we believed. But with today, it's not like that anymore. It's the children that are still suffering here.